Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to talk about some products from the Missees release from which I am on the design team. But before I am making any projects with it, I really want to introduce you to these products because there are some basics that you need to know about if you would be interested in buying these elements.
Okay, so there are 3 stamp sets and you can combine them all together if you wanted to, but you can also just use one. They have all gotten names, so there is Melanie, Miranda and Tatjana. And you can use the faces from Tatjana on Melanie and the other way around. So that's really fun. And then the same is there for the dies. There are also stamps included. There is Betty, Tasha and Carol, and as you can see, you can combine these all together as you want them to. So just to let you know, it's really important. Karin Joan wanted to incorporate as much as possible. She had so many ideas, so she came up with the following thing. For the stamp set and the die set, there is one set for each, which is the basic. For the stamp set it's Melanie and for the die set Betty. And you can see that in the stamp set there is the body as well as the head that you can create. In the die set also the same. So I'm just pointing it out here, the head and the body. And then all the other sets are other hairstyles, other faces that you can create, accessories and such, but you don't have a body or a head. So you need that basic to add everything on top of it. You can see here Tasha and Carol have different hairstyles, have completely different accessories, which makes it really fun. There are endless possibilities, but you will need the body and the head to add everything on top of it. Okay, so also here you have those different hairstyles as well as those cuties, the elements, the stamp set, it's all different, but you need the basic first. So you buy Betty and then you can buy Tasha or Carol to add on top of it. You really need Betty to add everything. Otherwise you will be stuck with a hairstyle and you cannot add any face because there isn't any head or whatsoever. Okay, so really make sure to have the basic. Then for the stamp sets it's the same. So Melanie is the basic. As you can see, Melanie has the body as well as the head. And then you can add the different faces from each stamp set as well as from the die sets. They fit on both the dies as the stamp sets, but you need the basic first. So you can have Tatjana go with the head and the body from Melanie. That's the idea. So also above each stamp set or die set there is the initial Missee that was intended, but of course there are so many other accessories added to these stamps and dies that you can go anywhere you want to go with these products. Okay, so really I just want to emphasize, make sure you have the basic. So buy Melanie, buy Betty, then you have everything you need, and then you can start adding to your collection if you haven't bought any of the others. But you can do so many things already with just the basic as well. And if you want, you can combine the stamp set with the die set, which makes it extra fun. So now I'm going to kick off with my project. For today I'm only using the stamp set. You can actually make your Missees completely in the stamp set or in the die set, because it works. As you can see here, the plastic from the stamp is really flexible. So the idea is that you just take it at that piece which is a bit sturdier, there where the neck and the head is meeting, and you just drop it, and this way you are sure that it's right. You can then use your stamp set itself to check whether the black lines are the same as your stamp is placed, and then you're sure. You can also stamp it out on a piece of acrylic to test it out yourself and see whether it works, whatever is good for you. If you're someone who is really good in stamping with acrylic blocks, I would definitely recommend that. But I am the worst when it comes to acrylic blocks, so I'm not doing that. That's why I also dropped it a few times, because with my Missee I just had to sort of get it straight. And then for the faces, Karin Joan made sure that the faces are in the ID, or the original ID from the Missee, is that you just align that stamp with the lines of the head you stamped out. But of course, if you want to add it lower or higher, you will just create another Missee again, which is also truly fun. But for now, this was my first attempt to create my own Missee, because I'm creating myself today. I just wanted to keep it to the basics. Okay, but you can definitely place the face a bit lower, a bit higher, and it will completely change your Missee. It's just how you prefer it. Then here I'm showing there are so many mouths inside of all the stamps. There are 3 in each, but also in the stamps that are included in the die sets. So actually you have 18 different mouths if you buy everything. Of course that's not needed, but just so you know, you have lots and lots of possibilities. I decided to keep it to the soft smile, but there are so many expressions that you can make. Also, depending on how high or low you add your smile or your mouth, it really will change your Missee. So now for the hairstyle, normally if you want it to have the same shape as on the stamp set, which is the original intention of Karin Joan, but you can do whatever you like, then you just drop it again, holding it first on those parts where it's a bit sturdier, and then you take your acrylic block, stamp it out. But again, I'm not really good in that, so I fiddled a bit, placing it correctly or sort of correctly, and then stamp it out with my Missee. So I'm using my Missee as well as Gina K Design Amalgam ink. I just wanted to mention that my ink block is a bit dry by now, so it's not about the stamp, it's just I need a refill, okay? Then also on the top of the stamp, and it was a bit quickly, but on the top of the stamp you can see the Missee that was intended originally, and there you can also see that those lines that I'm stamping out right now don't really need to be right against each other. There can be a little gap. It makes it a bit whimsical, so that's no problem. But I wanted it to be as close as possible. Okay, so here I did a little mistake, or not really, but this line that is included in the stamp set is actually to elongate your body. You can also use it for other purposes, but you can make your body a bit longer, and then you can create your own clothes as well. So I stamped my body a bit too low on my paper, and here I tried to acrylic block, and you can see I'm the worst. It was not straight at all, but I just thought that I was going to continue with it and I would see where it led me. So yeah, and then the hairstyle, I tried that longer hair that you saw previous, but actually my hair at the moment is quite long. If I make like a ponytail, I have like 50 centimeters, so not the inches, that would be like crazy, but centimeters, and that's in the tail, so it's actually longer than that. So it runs on the back of my, yeah, it runs through on my back, and I tried to find a stamp where I could just use some of the lines to help me get my hair as it currently is. So this one is actually for clothes intended, but you can do, again, whatever you want to do with it. There are so many possibilities. And I have seen the other members of the design team use it in such a cool way that I really was surprised about it. So just do whatever you like. So I decided for my Missee that I was going to draw my hair myself. And I fiddled a bit with it. I'm really not good in drawing, even though these are just a few simple lines. It was a pain, you know. I wanted to have it a bit curved, like the hairstyle that was in the stem set. And then I just took my Micron Fineliner to make it black and permanent, which wasn't really smoothly because I was shaking like a crazy person. Yes, I have those days. So my lines went a bit thicker than I wanted to, but then later I will cut it out with some scissors. So actually that was the solution to my thicker line problem. It's not really a problem, but I just want it to be sort of perfect. So that's my Missee. And yeah, that went a bit crooked, but I will fix it. And now I am going to use my Copic markers to color myself in. Oh yeah, the glasses. I have kind of round glasses. There are 2 glasses inside of these stamp sets, but one is a bit thicker, so I thought that this one would fit me better. I also stamped it out using my Missee again, just handy. And then now I will start coloring with my Copics. Oh, erasing the lines probably, and then I will start, then I will start with the Copics. And I first thought that I was going to keep it really simple. In the end I did, but I am really proud on how I did the hair, which is just flicking like a crazy person. And I'm not good with hair actually. But maybe the size of this image is a perfect way to try and practice. I'm honest about it. I was really surprised. So here I realized that my E00 is just, it's just dry. You can see the tip. I think it's just even ruined. But it's one of the refills that I just can't get my hands on. Really annoying. So I switched to the E01. And all the other caps are also going to be shown on the side. So I will be back after I have colored myself in. So far the coloring, and now I am going to fussy cut myself out. And I was actually thinking about leaving a white border, but then I thought with those thicker lines that I have with the hair that I drew myself, that it was a better idea to just snip it off just against the lines. And now it's time to start on the rest of my card. I really wanted to keep it simple. I wanted Missee. We can call it Missee Me. So if you perhaps buy these products and you create your own Missee, I think it's something we should all do. It's really fun. Just try to recreate yourself. And just use the hashtag MisseeMe. And then we will find all your self-made Missees, which will be really fun. But here I'm just using a confetti background from the stamp market, and I'm stamping it out with Gina K Design Amalgam ink, just creating a fun background which will create some movement, but it won't be that distracting. And then I decided that for the sentiment I was going to use an English sentiment, being just the hello and then how are you. The hello is really thick, so I just stamp it over this background without worrying about being black on black dots. That didn't bother me. And then for the sentiment, how are you, I am going to do some white heat embossing onto black cardstock. So I've stamped my sentiment a few times, but it's really because of my dried out ink pad. So I'm going to stamp the sentiment using Versamark clear embossing ink. And then the embossing powder that I'm using is from Ranger. It's a fine, super fine detail white, which is really handy for such thin scripts as this one. And then I'm just going to heat emboss it. And next up I will use some dies from Mama Elephant in this specific card to cut out the sentiment. I'm really not good in trimming a sentiment down and have it straight still. So I prefer using some sentiment strips, and these ones that I'm going to use here are from the Sweet Feline from Mama Elephant, which is a really versatile die set. Now that all the elements are finished, I am going to adhere everything. So my Missee I am adding with some Scotch 3M foam tape because I want some dimension. And normally I wouldn't have gone right up against the bottom because I want to trim some of the Missee off. But in this case it worked out fine. I just wouldn't recommend it if your trimmer isn't working that well. It's something I really would avoid. So yeah, but it worked out, so no issues. And then that small sentiment is heat embossed on black cardstock. So therefore I'm going to use my black thin foam squares from Scrapbook Adhesives. They have white and black ones. Since I'm using the black cardstock, I really like it when there is black behind it as well. So that's why I'm doing that. And then my panel is finished. I just have to adhere it on top of a card base, and then I will also add some glossy accents to my glasses because that's just a nice detail. And that is my card, so I hope you enjoyed this introduction to the stamp and die sets that are included in this release. The release date is the 29th of September, so it's close for you who are counting down to getting all the products. This stamp sets, or the stamp sets and the die sets, are really amazing. I just love the possibilities that it creates, and I hope that you will too. I want to remind you, if you make a Missee of yourself, which is a really fun thing to do, really show us on social media by using a hashtag that we can recognize, like MisseeMe for example, and then we can find your own Missee really easily. And for the rest, if you have any questions, you can always leave them down below. I hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and now there will be some pictures of my end result as well. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!